Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Charisse, if this is your first time here. Today is my day off, and I highly value my days off. I just love waking up in the morning and knowing that I do not have to be in a rush in any way or form to get to the next place, and I do not have to prioritize other people and their needs as well as I do not have to prioritize my job at all. So this morning I got up and I was just like so peaceful. It's just been such a lovely day, and all of a sudden I just started feeling really anxious again. I ended up making some calming tea because I do take meds for anxiety as well as bipolar, but I try to not take those as often as possible unless it is completely necessary. And today I decided to just feel through what I was feeling and make something calming from more of plant medicine. Anyway, I ended up feeling like this anxiety, and I feel like I just started touching on somebody's energy. And while today has been a day filled with content and practicing a lot of gratefulness for the things that I have, and just for having such a mellow paced day, I was definitely reminded today, not in like a brutal or overwhelming way, but in a kind of heart saddening way, that this is definitely a place that I look forward to leaving. I think that the spiritual warfare here is really great, to be honest. That's not to say that there is not spiritual warfare in a lot of other places, but I think that this is honestly the number one place that I have felt I fit in the least. If you watched my videos when I first started in this area, Eastern Arizona, I was really optimistic and I was really happy about it, and I felt like this beautiful sense of belonging. And it's interesting because I still feel this sense of belonging while I do not feel like I fit in at all. Over the course of time, I realized that one of the main reasons that I had felt so welcomed by this community is because I am a white female. It has become pretty brutally aware to me that that is a massive aspect of it. And anyway, I'm not gonna go super far into details about the things that I don't really like about this area. You know what? I think that this is all just like, I think this whole place is teaching me about who I am and making me more confident in that, even though I don't always necessarily feel confident in who I am because I feel so deeply misunderstood by a lot of people and very deeply like I do not fit in here. I actually had this dream a few nights ago that actually created a massive shift even in my daily life. It was a little bit prophetic as well as it kind of showed me why I'm here, because I have been really fighting it recently and wondering why. Why, when my life just has fallen apart in so many ways since being here and since starting in this job bartending, why am I here? Why was I brought here? What is the purpose? And it almost felt like there hasn't been a purpose at times, even though there are other times that I can find certain purposes for being here. But this dream, basically, to give you a little bit insight into it, I was on this massive boat, like a cruise ship sized boat. I had like one person with me. That person ended up disappearing at some point, and I was just on the side of this boat enjoying the view of this little island in the distance. And while I was enjoying this view, I did not notice that these waves just came and they pushed me very quickly into the shore where I basically crashed. And my ship just went kaput on its side. And I ended up meeting this woman. She was a mermaid, funny enough. She ended up taking me on this journey, and she was a very, very wise woman. In this, I was actually a man, which I've had many visions and dreams of myself being a man before. But this woman took me to this like kind of underground cave to explore this. I'm gonna call it a wisdom portal. It was like a wisdom cave, a tiny little cave. It was basically made of amethyst, and it could fit about the size of a human body. But these amethysts, when you picked them up, they would burn your hands, and the person that handed them to her was like, "Ah, ouch, that hurts," and handed it to her, and her hands just disintegrated, and as if it was like nothing to her. And then they grew back, and she handed it to me, and it was just this like, remember who you are. And it was really beautiful. And it I realized in the dream that she was actually myself. She was another version of myself, teaching me who am, reminding me, kind of like encouraging me to wake up, step into the fullness of who I am. It was very much so, I feel like, related to ancient knowledge, the Akashic records. Um, but anyway, in this dream, at some point as well, I mended the boat and I left, and left with all this wisdom that had solidified and reminded me in who I am. And I woke up the next day and I felt so hopeful. And since that dream a few days ago, I have felt very uplifted, much more grounded, and more driven as well. I feel like oftentimes when you find a certain type of purpose for where you're at, it helps to create a certain level of peace for being there, especially if it's a place that you don't necessarily enjoy to the fullest, which also it is okay to admit if you do not enjoy where you are at and that you want to change. And it is also okay to create that change. I am in a place where, you know what, there are certain things that I'm basically getting my ducks in a row. I'm getting my ducks in a row, and I'm figuring out a game plan. There are certain things that I need to do. My Forerunner is a little bit kaput right now. My goal is to sell that at some point and get something larger, but I will share more with you guys around that as I start to actually create it. Right now, I am building towards it. So I am constantly encouraging myself to be very patient with where I'm at right now and consistently seeing a deeper purpose for me being here. It can absolutely be discouraging at times because of what I find myself surrounded with, and constantly feeling misunderstood can definitely add to that sense of discouragement and sadness. But I realize, you know what? I don't really have much of a savior complex at all. I don't necessarily always think that that is a bad thing. I'm just saying that that is I I don't think that I can fix others, and I do not think that I can change others. I do not necessarily always think that others need to be fixed either just because they are different or whatever. And I realized that I am not just here for other people. And some people might view it as that, like, because I am so different from the community here, that it is me bringing a certain light, and perhaps that is part of it. Perhaps I am here to catalyze and initiate a certain type of change amongst some people. But to be honest, I see that where I'm at right now is more about me creating and building something within myself. And I have to focus on that because it can be discouraging sometimes and it can be absolutely disheartening, especially when I like today, after so much peace and just feeling so good, feeling this just an energy that I am not compatible with, that I find in many places that I have lived, and I am learning more and more just to accept that some people have this mentality and personality, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But I also realize that I prefer a much slower pace and a much slower form of living, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And it is being in an environment such as the one I'm in so many ways, is deepening a certain level of self love, because I feel like I have to deepen that self love and I have to deepen that self acceptance because of how different and misunderstood I feel here. I'm not here to change everything about myself just to fit in with my environment or the people or the motives of the others around me or the opinions of anyone around me. I think that my style of living, my preferred style of living, which is much more nomadic, I do enjoy times of physical stability and stationary times, but I love being nomadic, and I think that a lot of people look down at it, consider it a type of trauma response, or as a little bit of the devil that you know kind of a concept, rather than it being something that I thoroughly love and enjoy simply because it is different than the normal societal expectation and what is accepted. There's definitely ups and downs amongst it, but this place is definitely making me more deeply love on myself. I think that when I am constantly surrounded by bullshit, there are times that it can be difficult not to get involved in it, in the toxic energies, or even just energies that are different than who I am, or things that go against my own personal morals and belief systems, especially as a bartender. I think that gossip is one of probably the biggest issues in the bar, and gossip is something that I have talked about in quite a few times on my videos, and I would still love at some point to make a video mainly based on the topic of gossip and how toxic I believe that it is. But I have to be the first to admit that I have, first of all, participated in gossip many, many times, and I still find myself participating in it at times. And when you're surrounded in certain things, it can be difficult to not morph into that, because I do believe that you are very much so like the five people that you spend the most amount of time with. And when I find myself surrounded in a certain environment that oftentimes consistently goes against a lot of my moral systems, I'm not gonna lie, guys, it can be difficult not to morph into that environment. But I also see this positive aspect of it as it is something that is encouraging me to go against that grain. It is encouraging me to make my foundation in who I am and what I believe unshakable no matter what I am surrounded by. At the same time, I am absolutely choosing that this is not the environment for me. This is not the job for me. For now, yes, I will remain in it and I will continue to build in it and grow in it, because goddamn, I will say that it has grown me and changed me in some absolutely positive and beautiful ways. because of the type of environment that it is. I think friction can be a beautiful growth tool. I also think that sometimes friction you are ready to move away from. It's okay to continue growing in that if you'd like to, but I am so ready to feel more in the flow, more in my own personal flow. I'm accepting the baby steps towards the direction that I want to go, towards the direction that feels right for myself, even if it is not understood by all people, even if it is not understood by most people. It makes me honestly more grateful for the people who do love and understand me, who see me more clearly. I have a dear friend of mine. We don't talk like constantly or anything like that, and I've mentioned her quite a few times in my videos as one of my mentors, Lar. And if you're watching this, Lar, I love you. But it is people like her that encourage my heart that being understood and seen deeply is possible. Being accepted deeply, even despite all my differences from what seems like the majority of the world, that level of acceptance is possible. It's okay to be different. It's okay if people don't understand you, because there are people who do and there are people who will. Whether it's new relationships that will enter your life, the more that you choose to be yourself and follow your heart, your calling, not just what everyone around you says is right for you or says is right, or the people in your life will begin to understand you and accept you for who you are and see more deeply than all of that. I do not think that everybody in your life will. Perhaps for some people, everybody in your life will begin to understand and accept you and love you and not just have to leave or not have this certain gap of misunderstanding between you. Perhaps for some that is absolutely true. Perhaps even for me at this point, maybe that's true as well. I try to be very positive and allow for the enormous possibilities of the universe to surprise me and bless me in any and every way possible. While I have been hurt very much by relationships, and relationships still sometimes discourage me, I am so grateful and so blessed by the people in my life that make me feel courageous to love, that make me feel like love is worth it and that relationships are worth it. So even when I feel disheartened by relationships in my life failing or not being the way I want them to, or not feeling like I fit in, or feeling misunderstood, something always redirects me and myself at some point to the people that make me feel seen, understood, accepted, and loved, despite our differences. So, thank you to all of you beautiful people. I hope that if you are watching this and you are one of those people, I hope that you feel it inside of your heart that you are one of those people. That is going to be it, guys. I love you and I believe in you, and I'm so grateful that you're here along for my journey. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I absolutely hope to see you next time. Well, I guess I, I hope to you to see me next time. Unless you comment, then I will see you. But if you don't, I probably won't see you, but you will see me. Okay. I love you and I believe in you. Bye.